Blue Lock Chapter 311 has just been released and we are experiencing one of the final days of training before the beginning of the U20 World Cup. Could we expect to see what our cast of main characters have gotten up to during their time away from the facility? Or maybe we will find out who will be part of the Burū 3 in the final day before Blue Lock competes on the main stage. This chapter is the perfect cap off in Blue Lock's latest build for the next arc to officially begin, and I gotta say, I'm excited. So let's jump right into the video. At the very start, it is said that we are only one final day away from the U20 World Cup to begin. As you can see, time flew by in order to get us into this next story beat. Crazy how it's been 13 chapters since we have seen any match related performances with our Blue Lock cast. They are all seemingly doing a practice drill with Raichi and Hiyori playing against Yukimiya and Nanase, with Hiyori giving a pass to his other teammate Isagi Yoichi, with Nico on the other team trailing behind him. We also see Chigiri and Bachira on the white team, same as Isagi, who briefly celebrate the goal that Isagi managed to get with Hiyori's pass. Gotta say, it's nice to know that none of these characters are getting rough around the edges. Well, I would be saying that, but apparently to Isagi, that pass was one tempo too slow for his standards. Hiyori understands the message, but acknowledges that doing everything so immediately is quite difficult. Karasu steps in to take some heat off Hiyori's shoulders, saying how he's quite stiff before an actual game. Isagi takes this in a way as if someone was insulting his little brother, stating to Karasu their goal is to win, so having an ideal to strive for is natural, and how calling people stiff apparently was something that made him feel like he was disrespecting his fellow teammates. Before the two can throw hands, Aiku steps in as the biggest brother of the group, or maybe even the dad ready with his belt, to tell his sons to cut it out, otherwise they will have no internet privileges for the rest of the day. Hiyori seemed quite amused in the background. Isagi and Karasu apologize to one another, however Rin can't stay out of business when Isagi is the center of attention, and much like a red-headed stepchild, he wants to have his moment to be cool and impressive by telling his older cousin off for being too cocky, and not to go thinking he's always the heart of every team and things will always go his way. Isagi gives a 1,000-yard stare, contemplating if Rin was an accident or not, when suddenly Burū peers his ugly face into the room to interrupt the cast regarding a particular announcement. Ego is already acting like a disappointed stepfather and is dripped out of his goddamn mind, but Burū tries to save some self-respect in front of his cash cows as if he had any to begin with. He announces that the maximum players for the U20 World Cup is not actually 23 but 26, as we all know from the past 10 chapters that have been making this so evident to us. And one of those slots are already allocated to Sai Itoshi, known as Japan's treasure and own new Gen 11 player. Everyone does their own reaction, and Rin of course looks like he's ready to jump off a bridge. Burū then specifies that Sai will not be playing in the table qualifiers and will only be playing for the knockouts, and the remaining two slots have already been decided on how they will be chosen, where finally we get the announcement of the new Blue Lock series Red Key. Oops, sorry, I mean Blue Lock Japan Last 2 Side B Begins. That's such a stupid name, as if Eminem's music is to be murdered by. This B-side will gather 300 more players for a new Blue Lock project, and the heated battle will be recorded for Blue Lock TV to decide who will be the final two players to join Japan's U20 team. The original Blue Lock has just begun to point out how this is just a blatant rip-off from the real project, but the reveal of the participants is absolutely insane. Kira is one of the competitors for this new Blue Lock project, in which Isagi recognizes instantly. Burū can already see the money bags quite literally in his retinas, especially when this new Blue Lock project reaches its final stages. It will be broadcasted live on multimedia networks globally for a massive money-making market. Burū signs off as if he dropped the hardest album of 2025 when we all knew it was some hot ass, and Isagi as the favourite child asked Ego directly what that all meant. Ego rather not his diamonds in the rough be so blindsided by such silly emotions, as the chairman only looks to make his pockets fatter whilst Ego looks to make their players stronger. Isagi points out how his original ruling was anyone that was eliminated from the Blue Lock project can never play for Japan's national team ever again, and of course Ego acknowledges that and states that even the two winners of this new Blue Lock project will never be used, as that's ultimately ultimately his choice to make and not the chairman's. Isagi asks if Burū's selection is now just part of the Blue Lock system and Ego has to begrudgingly accept that reality, but it's just some guy playing with trash. In reality, if they can't win the U20 World Cup, none of that actually matters. Losing this World Cup means that Ego Jinpachi will be expelled from the Blue Lock project and by proxy his coaching position, stating how his current position and his own philosophy is not too dissimilar to the egoist standing in front of him. So to create the world's best striker, he will risk everything to make Japan win the World Cup, and until this ego comes to life, he will not hand Blue Lock over to anyone. Ego then diverts their attentions to the starting players for their first game against Nigeria. The promotion for the World Cup's first match is being shown across the country, and we get to see Isagi's #1 fan once again wearing Isagi's jersey to support him, which is honestly adorable. But in our final panel, we get to see Nagi returning to Blue Lock, coming back for the B-side with only 2 hours now remaining until the opening of the U20 World Cup. To be continued in chapter 312, titled Towards the U20 World Cup. If you enjoyed this review so far and would like to see more, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Don't miss out on my coverage on future leaks going forward, as well as some unique Blue Lock videos of my own. Let's go through and recap all that we know for sure. Isagi Yoichi seems to be going into this almost arrogant mindset. We know that Isagi has gotten significantly better over the course of the NEL, now being known as Japan's top ace through the constant promotional exposure. So it makes us all think that Isagi could get too big for his britches, or maybe he's possessing the necessary mindset for Blue Lock to be at its best. As far as we know, he's doing something significantly right if he managed to score a goal in their practice game with Rin Itoshi on the opposing team. Another fact that we all know is that Sai is for sure not playing in the qualifying matches. He already made it clear he wasn't a few chapters ago, and this just makes that statement clear, as his biggest reason for playing in this World Cup is to face Spain and beat Bunny. And now we have the announcement of the second Blue Lock project, which I assume will take the mantle in the background of the events of the U20 World Cup. Or maybe we will get a spin-off manga after the end of the episode Nagi manga last week. I believe it would be very cool to see this new project shown separate from the U20 World Cup to demonstrate the natural skill difference between the players in the B-side compared to the egoists who actually earn their spots to be players for the World Cup team. And what we do know is that the return of the formerly eliminated Blue Lock players is for certain. So not only do we see the returns for the likes of Kira, who was known as the crown jewel of Japan football, but also Nagi Seishiro, our lazy genius. And we can likely expect characters like Igaguri, Tokimitsu, the former U20 players, and maybe even our most well-known players from the eliminated first selection, like the Wanama Bros, Okawa, and the former players of Team Z. And finally, to get rid of some confusion, Japan are the ones who will have the opening match against Nigeria, as it's customary for the hosting country to have the first matches of the World Cup. So since Japan is hosting this U20 World Cup, naturally it will be given the privilege against Nigeria as the first qualifying game, where Blue Lock will not only face against a country they and even we don't have much intel on, but the likelihood of a new Gen 11 player being on this opposing team is very high. So what did you guys think of Chapter 311? Are you excited for Chapter 312? What was your reaction to the whole new Blue Lock project being announced, and who do you think will be the starting lineup for our first World Cup match? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below, and of course if you did enjoy this video, once again, hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and until next time, peace.